We good?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, perfect. Okay. Good evening and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Crypto Unicorns Weekly AMA with Aron Beierschmitt, Crypto Unicorn CEO and co-founder. I'm Sparkly Unicorn with my co-host Fluffy Unicorn
Hi, everyone.
and with Stealthy Unicorn as we do week 2 of a weekly AMA series on the weeks leading up to the Crypto Unicorns game launch. But before the AMA part of things, I hope y'all came in bright and early like I told you to. Aron will take the stage to talk about a few important developments for crypto unicorns. You wanted alpha? Here's your alpha. Good morning, Aron.
Good morning. Good evening. Let's get started. So we should start calling these Aron's alpha leaks. That rolls off the tongue. Today is the day, peeps. Rainbow token airdrop this afternoon. The target is 9 p.m. UTC. Be watching your wallets. I want to kind of talk through the mechanics of that drop. I discussed them at a high level last time, but I figured I'd outline them here, and people could ask clarifying questions. So again, 9 p.m. UTC, the Rainbow Token airdrop begins. Again, as mentioned last time, the snapshot was already taken 3-4. And here's the breakdown of the distribution of the 10 million Rainbow tokens. So 8.9 million has been reserved for what we call NFT retention. This is to reward, in particular, long-term holders of all of our NFTs. The way that's working out is roughly 54% of that 8.9 million is going to land holders. So if you've been holding common land, you were getting a point every day. If you were holding rare, you were getting 1.25 points per day. If you were holding mythic, you were getting 1.75 points per day. Another 33% of that 8.9 million is going to unicorn holders at 1 retention point per day. And then the remaining 13% roughly, maybe as much as 14%, my math's slightly off, the shadow corn holders. And of course, they're just the smaller piece because shadow corn eggs haven't been around, as long. And then the remainder, obviously, that's the 8.9 million. That's roughly the distributions, very much focused on NFT retention, as we've mentioned many times. So 600K is then going to Discord people based on rank, based directly on rank, I should say. And then the remaining 500K is going to a set of exclusive Genesis badge people. So that's going to go to very active members of the community who've contributed in a whole variety of ways. And I don't think anyone's going to be surprised when they get one, and I wouldn't be surprised when you see the list of Genesis badge holders. So that is the RBW drop. To reiterate, the target is 9 p.m. UTC today. It will not be like the Unim airdrop in that you're not just going to receive direct RBW tokens. You're going to receive a set of NFTs which have different RBW values to them. And then obviously you'll have between 1 and say, as much as 10 or so of these RBW NFTs, which of course have different values. And then you'll go to our website, the same site we've been using for hatching, Dark Forest, etc. There'll be a Claim RBW button. You click on the Claim RBW button, and then you're able to claim your RBW there. You will have to do a claim per type of RBW NFT. It's basically like an IOU is what I would consider it to be. But it shouldn't be too tough of a process for anyone. And of course, there'll be plenty of information being released in Discord a bit later today. And obviously, our wonderful mods and community team, as well as myself and a few other members of the team, will be on deck to answer questions and help people with that claim. So again, RBW drop, it's finally here. Thank you for the patience. Kind of coupled with that, we'll be announcing the Founders Reward Program. As I've mentioned before, this is a specific program to reward people who are willing to stake a certain amount of RBW for a year. It will include anyone who is already staked, and it's an aggregate amount of staked RBW. If you've staked multiple times, that's fine. It doesn't have to be in one stake. We'll be able to calculate it all the way up. Look out for that blog post with all the juicy details, which will, of course, include the minimum amount of RBW necessary. sometime tomorrow. And then there will be a grace period through the end of the month through March 31st to effectively join that Founders Reward Program. And as you'll see in the blog post, you're looking at monthly set of rewards, which will get distributed out in the form of loot boxes and some other fun stuff. And then at the end, 12 months in, there'll be this kind of large bundle that goes out. So again, very, very targeted towards people who are early to our community, who've been here and supporting us kind of pre-game launch. And then, of course, we'll do things over time, for members who are joining kind of post-game launch. So that's the Founders Reward Program. That's the RBW drop. Now let's get to the final piece today, which is to talk about our launch timeline and a couple of changes on that front. So March 30th, that is the date we're going to release the Shadowcorn roadmap details. They'll come in the form of a blog post. I think people, as I've said before, are going to be pretty excited to kind of see what we plan to do with Shadowcorns over the course of 2022. So it will detail the hatch mechanics. It will detail the Dark Forest Act 2 plans for the on-chain minigame, and then effectively Act 3, which is when when Shadowcorns effectively become a part of the in-game gameplay. So again, I think people will be pretty pumped to see that and those details on March 30th. On March 31st, that is the day we launch governance. So governance will include a forum, like most DAOs in the space, as well as a snapshot, like most DAOs in the space. I've mentioned this many, many times, but our commitment to governance, community-run governance is paramount, and I think one of the most important things in the space today. And so I'm very happy that we're able to accelerate those plans and get governance out effectively before the game launches, which I think beats a number of our competitors in the space. So anyway, governance launches on March 31st. We'll be putting forward a forum post around that time, which is effectively discussing the first round of ecosystem fund grants that we plan to make to a number of partners, many whom you'll recognize, a few who are going to be new. And we'll begin and kick off the discussion around the first round of kind of ecosystem fund grants. I'm very, very excited to engage with the community on that front, get feedback, and potentially iterate on that proposal. And then we're targeting April 7th for the first vote on the snapshot side, which we would hope approves that first round of ecosystem fund grants for really kind of tees up and kicks off our entire partnerships program. So I'm super, super pumped about that. And then April 11th. April 11th is the new launch date for the game. It is the launch date that we're committing to as a team and that we should start to circulate broadly. Reason for the delay is pretty simple. We just need a bit more time on the QA front to crush bugs and ensure that we're hitting our internal bar for polish. We leaked out kind of the art build, which was an in-Unity version of the game on the art branch. We are in the process of merging that polish into the develop branch and, of course, iterating and testing on it. And especially around the complex kind of blockchain interactions, both breeding and evolution, I just don't want to ship something that we're not, completely confident in. So again, the slight shift from the end of the month to April 11th, I think, not only takes some pressure off a team that's working very, very hard, but ensures that we have the extra time that we need to ship a solid MVP. Those are the alpha leaks for today. I'm happy to answer questions as we roll into the AMA, and yeah, excited to talk about all this more.
Okay, thank you so much, Aaron. That's Aaron's Alpha Corner for you guys. So that was a lot. So we talked about the RBW drop, Founders Reward Program, the Shadowcorn Roadmap, governance launch and first vote, ecosystem fund grants, the new game launch date. We talked about all of that, and it's a lot to take in, but don't worry, since the team will be posting an AMA summary, we'll also have separate announcements and guides as each event happens. Okay, so I'm sure everyone has a lot of questions. Let me just run by the AMA mechanics real quick, and then we can start. If you would like to ask your question in voice, please press the request to speak button. The button looks like a raised hand. You can try pressing it right now. I don't mind. You can queue up even while someone is talking. Once we accept your request, you'll see a green bar at the top of your Discord, and then click accept to begin speaking. We'll pick people one by one so everybody has a chance to ask something. Once you're unmuted, feel free to ask your question. We also have questions for people who might not make it tonight, as well as shy unicorns. It's on the AMA questions channel. We will get to those too, but we'll prioritize spoken questions over written ones. Inevitably, we might not have enough time to answer all the AMA questions, so if you'd like to bring a written question to the front of the queue, just press request to speak and ask away. Okay, first off, we have Blackfield. Come on over.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Morning.
So, first of all, thank you so much, as weird as that might sound, for delaying the game. There's nothing worse than getting an unfinished or buggy game. So that means probably that you're listening to the players, and that's pretty nice. Thank you for that. I have a question for the unicorns and how you're trying to stop the exponential growth of them. Is there a cooldown after breeding, or will you limit Unim at some point? Because that's a lot of games have that issue of the games right now.
Definitely. What's really funny is I was complaining to our design team earlier this week because I didn't think we were giving people enough Unim, and this includes what they've harvested in the Dark Forest, plus what they will earn in game to get enough unicorns bred in the first month. So, I think our first goal as a community is just to get to 90,000, which will fully fill the amount of land that we've sold to date, right? 3 unicorns being what you can utilize initially on land, kind of pre-building a stable. Anyway, it's something that's very, very top of mind for us. The big difference between us and many games in this space, and I've seen a lot of questions around this, just the general sustainability of the economy. The one thing that is a major differentiator for us is the farm sim itself, right? Once you get to 3 unicorns per plot of land, you have to progress the farm to add more unicorns. You're going to want to level up your farm plots to increase their productive capacity. You're going to want to upgrade the workshop to open up new slots, the gathering cart to open up new slots. And to do that, you're going to need to craft a ton of items in the workshop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so the one thing that the community should continue to kind of understand is that the farm sim itself gives us a lot of economic depth and breadth and a ton more sinks and use cases for all of the new unicorns that are going to get bred. That is the one major differentiator. If you're playing Peg Axie or you're playing Axie or playing Zed Run, like you're just looking for the highest possible stats. And at some point, it's going to you're stable. There's really only a small subset of NFTs that you utilize. In our game, every single new unicorn will kind of have a purpose and a use on the farm at a minimum. And then as we begin to layer in the battle loops on top of that, you'll start to see the highest stat unicorns flow up and be utilized in the battle loops, making room and space on the farm itself, right, for additional unicorns. So I haven't really answered your question yet, but I think it's really important to understand that base layer of complexity and all of the economic depth that we've placed into the farm sim as a real differentiator in the space. Ultimately, there will be a point where there are probably too many unicorns. And I can tell you one thing, that the Shadowcorn roadmap is going to reveal a sink for unicorns, and I think a very compelling and exciting way. And then we have other additional planned sinks for unicorns, which again, I think becomes really important after the initial growth phase. And I've said this before, we think about the economy in 3 phases. The growth phase, you get away with a lot in the growth phase as you onboard players. There'll be more value in, there's high demand on the asset, et cetera. When growth begins to taper in terms of new DAO, we're entering the transitional phase. In the transitional phase, the focus will be on deflation of the NFTs as well as the optimization of your NFTs. And there's very few projects that have done this outside of maybe Crypto Raiders. Huge fan of that project. As far as optimization goes, that's further evolutionary tiers. That is tying runes and potentially even equipment to unicorns. So you take your unicorns that you really, really love and enjoy, particularly those with high stats, you begin to optimize them further. That represents further sinks, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess to circle back and hopefully answer your question very simply, it's like, as we enter the transitional phase, the focus will be on deflationary mechanics. We have multiple planned. The first biggest one is tied to the Shadowcorn roadmap, which I think will be kind of exciting. And again, it pits kind of this dark versus the light. Some players may play both sides. Some players may lean towards the Shadowcorn side. I think that's going to be very fun and exciting to see. And then the optimization of the unicorns itself, right? Further evolutionary tiers and adding things like runes and potentially equipment. I can't and won't guarantee that equipment is a part of the game going forward, but it is something we're actively considering. Sorry for the rant, but there's a lot of questions around this, and it is what the a lot of the discussion in the space is around, given we've seen several projects fall apart recently.
Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Blackfield. That was a really insightful question, and I'm really glad that you gave us so many insights into that. By the way, it looks like a lot of people in the chat stayed up to listen to your alpha. Usually they don't really make it in time for the AMA, and they love it. To express their happiness, they want me to say, ooh woo? Yeah, okay. So
I'll take a whoop. Thank you.
So while we're waiting for somebody else to request to speak, I just want to remind everybody that I just want to remind everybody to check our Twitter pin post to find out how you too can help defeat the ultimate Shadowcorn. Once they've been defeated, we'll raffle 3 Genesis eggs that they were held hostage so they can grow under your loving care. Okay, do we have more speakers? The crowd is just warming up. Fluffy, can you give me a written question?
Yeah, sure. So Aaron, you talked about the governance a while ago. Winter and summer here would like more information, particularly with voting. For example, what could we vote on? How will it go down? And what if it doesn't agree with what the company has planned?
Yeah, absolutely. The system is obviously based around staked RBW. RBW itself can vote. You have to have staked RBW to vote. So if you haven't staked, I highly suggest that you do so. Again, the incentive, of course, is to stake longer, which gives you a higher amount of staked RBW relative to the amount of RBW that you put in. And then that pool of staked RBW represents governance, right? And so when this, when a proposal goes to the snapshot or goes up to snapshot and is ready for the community to vote on, it will open up. You'll be able to vote over a period of time. I'm looking at roughly 3 to 5 days right now. I think 3 days may be a little too short. I know other people do 7 days, but I'm very interested in active governance. I think we have a very active community, and so I would like to kind of experiment with slightly shorter windows. Again, after an appropriate amount of time for discussion in the forum occurs. The tough question is, what happens if the community votes against, the wishes of, the team and kind of our investor group. And we're going to get a good, view into this right off the bat with the ecosystem fund grants. I mean, in the white paper, I mentioned very clearly, team was in control of that up until the point we launched governance. And I had considered pushing forward this first round of grants because we've been transparent around that. But my goal and desire on that front is to, embrace the community side of this and make sure that we can get appropriate signaling and feedback from the community before we do this first round of grants. Obviously, we're putting them forward because we think this group of partners is going to help with our early stages of growth and be foundationally important to kind of what we want to do. Again, I'm very open to hearing in the forum discussion opposing opinions, and let's try and figure out the best path forward. but like it would be crazy, one of the partners is the group that built, launched, and live operated the Dark Forest contract in tandem with this, right? Shout out to the team at Moonstream, right? I think it was kind of crazy to not put forward a milestone grant for them, right? So again, I think we're going to be reasonable in the request, but this will be a first gut check. I think we reserve the right to veto things if we don't feel it's in the best interest of the of the game. But again, I would really hope in the forum discussion that we can get engaged feedback from the community and iterate on the proposal to the point that when it goes live on Snapshot, we're all pretty excited about it and ready to vote, yes. I've spent a lot of time in various DAO snapshots kind of looking at proposals. I think sometimes they try and vote on everything and it feels a little silly. I would like forum discussions to be, permissionless and everybody show up and let's put forward proposals. I can't wait to see what comes from the community, not just us. And I would hope that we really use the forum as the basis and foundation for discussion and iterating on proposals up until the point that we feel good about putting them forward. I'm in the process of completing a governance blog post, which I hope to release next week. I guess I missed that in my alpha leaks. That will talk through how I think about governance, the quorum or SRBW necessary to submit proposals to Snapshot and things. And that will be the first instance where I think the community can get a look at that and give feedback even prior to the release of governance on the first. So I hope that answers the question. It's something I'm trying to be thoughtful about. I don't think anyone, just like economic design in this solved governance, everyone is just kind of running various experiments. But I think it's a really valuable mechanism that doesn't exist in Web 2, and it would be really silly to ignore it as some projects in the space have. So again, trying to move quickly, trying to get out and do this stuff. Again, even before the game launches, and I think that's a rarity in the space and does follow projects that I really respect, including, Decentral Games and what they've been doing in particular more recently with Ice Poker. So sorry, I feel like I'm ranting this morning and have a lot of depth to them.
Oh, don't feel bad about it. We love when you say a lot of things that have a lot of depth
Yeah.
because, yeah, it's very helpful for the community.
Yeah, and we're really forwarding the tenets of Web3, right? With voting.
Yeah.
I mean, that is our mission. I've been telling that to the team a lot. We're running as fast and hard down the Web3 side as possible. And yes, the reality is for the first few years, the team is largely in control of the voting supply, assuming we stake, which of course we plan to do. And, I think in my governance post, I'm going to discuss several mechanisms. I really like the idea of signal on the snapshot vote before the team votes, as a really good example of like, I don't want us to signal and the community to ape after. I want to kind of see, what the votes look like from community prior. And so again, a lot of that will get discussed next week in the blog post, and I'd love feedback from the community as we look to iterate and establish our first version of governance at the end of the month.
Super exciting. Here's a soundbite for one of our community constants, Time Traveler. He says, "Yes, let Aron keep talking. We learned so much. The community absolutely loves it." So yeah, let's get Insanity coming over.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi. Uwu. I have a question. For the Dark Forest. So what happens if the Unim runs out? What happens next?
The plan right now is that will be the conclusion of, Act 1 of the Dark Forest. And that'll be the plan. Act 2 will likely be a separate smart contract deployed in the future. So when Unim runs dry in the Dark Forest, we're gearing up and focused on game launch at that point. But at this time, there is no plans to replenish Unim in the Dark Forest, and we'll wait till Act 2, which will have a more advanced mechanic than just the simple staking mechanic of Act 1.
Any leaks for Act 2?
You'll have to wait for the Shadowcorn roadmap on the 30th, but there'll be enough detail in there to, I think, give a very good idea of where we're headed with it, and I think people will be pretty excited. Again, we shipped the Dark Forest smart contract in under a month, or I guess 32 days exactly from when the idea was first surfaced. So that was a very quick turnaround to strip a lot of functionality out. Act 2, which will be later in the year, is going to give us more time to do some, I think, more sophisticated, cooler stuff, and then make sure that a few audits are done against it, given the added complexity. But thank you for the question.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Infinity. All right, we have Rubik next. Come on over.
Good morning. How
Good
is it?
morning.
I've got two questions, if that's all right, two different types of questions. I don't know if I'm hogging the microphone too much.
Let's do it.
First one, are you able to comment on or speculate on prices on anything, or is that a no?
No, that is definitely a no.
Damn it! I was just trying to get
I can tell you that I continue to underestimate the demand, just generally. If I've made one, I'm not even sure it's a mistake. And that just comes from a decade of entrepreneurship in which I largely failed and only had brief moments of success. And so I think when you get beat up a lot over the years across many projects and verticals, again, I think I've consistently underestimated the amount of demand. And we got some really exciting numbers just looking at the amount of people who staked for a year. That was, anyway, the numbers are getting double checked now just to confirm they're correct. I believe that they are. And it showed went with a year. And that was incredibly appreciated and shows a level, again, of trust and faith, on behalf of the community and us as developers. It's very, very inspiring.
I mean more about like the in-game things like boosters and things like that. Like, is there kind of levers that you guys can pull to kind of keep it a little bit stable? Because we find a lot of the games in this space, Web3, are having struggles with keeping the product from going through a huge rise, and then it slowly tapers off and goes to nothing, or it goes off a cliff. Is there kind of game levers has that been planned for in your so, like, for example, unicorns, they could be worth $4,000 or $5,000 when they come out, but then be worth $100 each in six months' time. Is there something you've put in place to stop that from happening?
I mean, deflationary mechanisms will aid and assist in that. Within the game itself, the crafting to just slightly change inputs and outputs into that system, right? In particular from a Unim perspective, will be a very helpful lever. And then again, it's kind of that transitional phase of the economy development in which you kind of would start to focus on deflationary mechanisms, optimization of existing assets versus just the wholesale minting more. And I think we've got some really compelling ideas that will incentivize players to breed out to 8 points. Shout out to the design team. They came up with some cool ideas there. So again, the thing we have that so many other games right now don't is they basically just have assets and usually one sink. And at the get-go, we have both breeding and evolution plus the crafting sink. And that just gives us way more levers as you, again, are incentivized to kind of press your buildings to increase productive output and efficiency and things of that nature. So I get we are absolutely seeing what is happening. That's one of the beautiful things about building in this space where most of the data, the important economic data, is on chain. And again, I think from the beginning, the focus on the farm sim, using that to add a lot of economic depth to the game, again, gives us a really big I at least don't know of a project that has. At least it's current.
Okay, cool, thanks. And onto to the game itself, like a lot of it seems at the moment like either auto, even like the RPG, you're thinking about doing an auto battler. There's auto jousting, auto racing. Is there any mechanical skills that plans to come into the game where the players are actual playing a game and not just strategy and just in the back end, but in the game itself where you actually impact the game by skill?
Yeah, on the team RPG side, there's been some discussion on, whether or not to move in a slightly different direction from the kind of auto chess, auto battler style. You're right that there's a lot of strategic depth in the setup there, and then you watch the outcome play out. And that is kind of a natural fit from like jousting, where it is very RNG, where there's skill in attempting to pick the field as it fills up, right? And then of course team RPG, where it's like, what is the composition of my party? What is their positioning? I'm going to attempt to optimize around that with the unicorns that I have available to do so on. Again, I mentioned this in another AMA that we are considering kind of a puzzle and style team RPG game. It was a really sophisticated match 3 game where you could kind of drag a gem around the entire board, and it actually had a very high skill curve. If you think about that in a PvP scenario, with timing being very, very important, as well as when to fire the specials, if you will, I could see that having a lot more active, gameplay. And again, that's probably something that comes up to a community vote, because I would love to get the community involved in making that decision, and it'll likely come sooner rather than later. We look to get out ahead on that battle loop. As far as jousting and racing, I've mentioned this before. We do have planned additional layers of depth around this idea of burn cards. So burn cards would be craftable items that you can craft, and then of course are consumed over the course of the battle loop. And there would be a certain number of slots in which you could, put a burn card in place. And then of course it would get utilized over the course of the tournament, over the course of the loop. And those would act as buffs and debuffs, and again would add kind of this depth that I think would be rather compelling. But again, I think we want to learn more about how people play the game, whether there's universal interest in more active styles of gameplay versus passive and things of that nature. So, and then there's some surprises that I won't detail out, but there are some plans for more active, easy to get in, easy to get out of kind of mini game loops and things of that nature as well, Rubric. So it's a good question. On a multi-year time horizon, you will start to see more and more game loops that are active, that involve you to be, paying attention throughout the loop. And again, but as far as the first 3 are concerned, Team RPG is the only one really considering in its first iteration a more active style of gameplay.
Lead from the top, and I just want to say thank you to them for making such a great atmosphere in our server. Thanks.
Thank you, Rubric. Compliments for the team are well deserved.
Aw.
Oh,
Thank you so much, Rubik. I'm sure Stealthy would be saying thank you right now, but she's busy being stealthy and recording. So I'm gonna say thank you for her too. And we really appreciate you staying up so late for the AMA. Thank
It's only
you.
3:30 a.m. in the morning. No dramas.
Yeah, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Okay, so next up we have Big Dick Clue 69. Come on over, Chief.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Nice name. Yeah, what's your question?
All right, so I have a few questions. First, I would like to ask, because I'm one of the many people who's very excited for the game. Are we still on track for the release of the game at the end of the month?
You missed alpha at the beginning. It's now April 11th, so we're close to that target date, pushing back 2 weeks. The 31st will be the launch of our governance system.
Okay. Second question. So I've been dabbling on crypto trading for a few years now, and I'd like to ask, when are we going to see RBW on the big exchanges like Binance and some other big exchanges like Binance?
Roughly around the time of launch. We're engaging with a number of groups on that front. I will say this in front of the community. I am not paying to get listed by any fucking exchange ever. I just won't do that. I won't play that game. And again, you kind of have to go through them all and eventually list and all fall. But that is very, very much the intent. I just will not pay to get listed. That's a ridiculous thing in a world of permissionless Web3 design. So if that forces it back a few more weeks, that's fine. We have a pull on balancer. It's very easy to utilize. But obviously, the centralized exchanges are a part of the strategy, and we are actively engaging with a number of them.
All right. Thank you. Ooh, woo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad seems really happy tonight. We have another soundbite for Rubik. Big Daddy Aron, boss of Crypto World. Pretty sure a lot of people agree. All right, next we have Miki Duda. Come on over, Miki Duda.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you please elaborate a bit on the sale of the token sale that was held a few days ago, like vesting periods and maybe some more details?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there was the public copper launch auction, 14.5 or so million was raised. We sold roughly 20 million RBW in that sell. And then, yeah, as was announced, we had, prior to the public auction, completed a private sell of tokens. That was a treasury diversification measure, which we sold tokens out of the ecosystem fund, putting 11.6 million USDC into the treasury. Of course, this is all there for anyone looking at the Gnosis safe. And, again, reasons to do it. The crypto market is crazy right now. It's up, down. I have certainly some PTSD, having been a person who got into crypto in 2017 and then saw the fallout in 2018 and 2019. And it felt like a great opportunity to ensure that we could put enough in the treasury to have a bit of a war chest to weather a winter, as well as give us another mechanism for incentivizing partners that doesn't necessarily involve us putting RBW, which very frequently they're going to sell to fund operations, right? That's one of the potential negatives of some of the grants. A lot of the grantees will stake a portion for because we're trying to pick groups that have high alignment. But then again, at some point, covering cost and doing development work and other things that people are going to potential providers and community members are going to do and get grants for. Again, giving the option to also structure proportionally in USDC, I think is great. The lockup is the same as the so a year lock followed by a 2-year linear unlock.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Thank you so much, Miki Duda. Do you have any other questions?
No. I think this is enough. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your time. Next, we have Danxi. Come up to the stage, Danxi.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Sorry for the loud background, but can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Yeah, good morning to you guys. And then shout out to my Filipino friends there and Filipino Crypto Unicorn fans. So I have a question. So since Aaron mentioned about the what do you call this, the mini game, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I have question. Have they considered doing like a builders program? Like people will create mini games on their own land.
I'd not considered that specifically on in individual's own land. We are actively considering a builders program, and this is actually one of the things that I would hope we get a community vote in the first 90 days or so around, which would be evaluating potential partners. Let me take a step back. We've had a number of groups, given our success to date, reach out, very interested in building on top of the kind of crypto unicorns IP and integrating inside of the ecosystem. And so I am actively seeking partners on that front to fund them out of the ecosystem fund so that we additional battle loops, if you will. Certainly much earlier than Laguna alone could, build and publish and release these things. And so we are going to be, have been, and will continue having active discussions front, putting them into the forum and letting the community kind of which loops and potential partners they feel are going to be best and most exciting, most fun. So slightly different than I think your idea, but definitely along the same lines of supporting additional partners to effectively do what would look like second and third party titles that leverage our IP and assets.
So much, you guys are amazing.
All right, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Danxi.
thanks for the question.
All right.
All right, do we have any requests to speak right now? Oh, we got Kadaliman.
Okay, question for me. Do we need to tie up or log in every time our MetaMask or wallet in order to play? Or it can be like Ronin, wherein we can just use email or QR code. Thank you.
So right now you'll have to have MetaMask or other software supported software wallet connected. It doesn't require a blockchain transaction or anything, but it will request a signature. We are actively looking at other potential wallets. I'm actually becoming more and more of a fan of Sequence wallet out of by Horizon. That's built on top of the Taurus smart contract wallet. And they do social login and help custody keys and all of that kind of stuff. And so for people that aren't as comfortable with self custody and things of that nature, as a compelling opportunity. Called them in. I mean, straight up, just on the Web3 front, spies email and passwords. It's just not great. And I personally have fallen in love with just Connect Wallet and here's all my data, right? So I think we're gonna, for better or for worse, lean into the Web3 side to start, and then surface alternative wallets that do some of the social login and recovery stuff for for people who are interested in that. Did that answer your question? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kadaliman. Okay, while we're waiting for other requests to speak, I just want to remind everybody that in celebration of the NDGG Crypto Unicorn CMA, we've set up a Hindi language channel. We've also got a lot of other language channels with super friendly mods. Go to the Language Rules channel and get your role to get access to your language channel of choice. Okay, we have Desi Hopler. Come on over.
Hey, thanks, Fockley. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I think I came at the right time. Shout out to all the collectors from India. I am from India, and you just spoke about Hindi language, so that's great.
Yeah.
I had a question in terms of the marketing. Do we have anything planned for that, or do we just go in terms of how we are already doing with the community building? Thanks.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Right now I'm super happy with the organic growth that we've gotten. We did have kind of a reasonably big PR moment this week around kind of the announcement of our combined public-private sales, and so I think that was certainly the first major effort on that front. We're working on kind of a small CGI trailer that I think will be a great teaser, highly shareable, and generally just a lot of fun. I think that's been a dream of ours for a while. That will become the first thing that I think really starts to get promoted. Early on, I think we have plenty of plans that effectively continue down the path of organic growth that will onboard enough new players, in kind of the early days. At a certain point, performance marketing and those things will come into play. I mean, we are and have spent most of our careers as free-to-play game devs. Performance marketing, unfortunately, for better or for worse, is incredibly critical in that industry. And so I'd mentioned this before. Uptick is a growth agency that we've worked with in the past. They ran really tests for we did some concepting for the next Game of Thrones MMO for WB before pivoting, and Uptick we worked directly with to do some performance marketing to test various battle loops and what would have high resonance stuff with potential people. That is such a great, just like quickly little mini, such a it's gonna die, because with Web3 we can literally go to all of you. What do you play with all of these assets and get much higher, a much better signal to noise ratio than you can in Web 2. Like Web 2 has devolved just top of the funnel, what's going to get people to click on ads. And so there's a part of me that will always reject any slip down into that, because I think we just have different mechanics and ways to incentivize behavior. I would much rather look at marketing campaigns, which we've been talking about internally, where we just look at really active NFT wallets for other games on Polygon, for example, and airdrop postcards to come play and try the game, right? Little seed packs, if you will. So there's a lot of things that we're looking at, I think will be experiments we try before we start getting to the true kind of performance marketing side of things. And then again, Uptick, I think, is a great partner. Past, they're working with Sky Mavis on the launch of Origin, so we'll be able to kind of see how that plays out as well. If and when performance marketing becomes a strategy, we'll look to begin to leverage them as a partner, given we've worked with them already. And I was very happy to see them, looking at Web3 and transitioning out of all the work they've been doing in Web2. So sorry, you triggered me a little mini rant, but I hope I answered your question.
Hello, Desi. You there? You're on mute right now. There
Oh
we go.
yes, you did. Sorry,
Okay.
I was on mute.
Thank you for
Welcome
the
back.
question.
Thanks. Yeah, have a good day.
All right, have a good day. Next, we have 404.
Hi,
Hi.
thanks for having me. My question is, what is the reasoning behind dropping NFTs representing the RBW token rather than the token itself?
The extra complexity of adding a airdrop script to our diamond proxy for RBW is certainly one reason. This leverages the same system that got loot boxes and shadowcorn eggs into people's wallets, so it was just less development time. Also, because there is a claim mechanism, RBW, given we do have a fixed 1 billion supply of the token, it felt silly to potentially put it into a dead wallet, right? So I would say the predominant reason, timing, utilizing a system that we'd already battle tested via loot boxes and shadowcorn eggs, and then the kind of secondary reason would just be we don't want any RBW to go to a dead wallet.
And will the airdrop kind of be the same percentage as the Unum airdrop?
No, did you miss the early alpha?
No, I'm talking about points wise.
Oh, no, it will be different. Okay. Yeah, it will be different.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Thanks, 404. Next, we have Chokes. On over, Chokes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you. Good morning. By the way, it's Choax, not
Oh, I'm
Chokes.
sorry, Choax.
It's all right. Most people pronounce it that way. Yeah, my question is, given that there are many games out there, and having experienced quite a few, um, there are times that the games have become quite repetitive, and I'm just wondering, what are your plans to are you doing anything different to keep the users or the players engaged or interested in the game for the long run?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, especially with a farm sim, right? You're going to do things that are very similar day, right? So, it'll be impossible to not get into, at least a little bit of a slightly repetitive state. Harvesting berries and things of that nature. I mean, game design, we call this moments of joy. Like early on, the unicorns, they spawn, they loop through animations and things like that. Occasionally they poop. You're going to have to find that poop on your estate, collect it, claim it, right? Get those rewards. So, adding little moments that are special, that are surprises, like weather, states that, alter certain things in the game, like it may be that day and that, advantages for farm production. It may have disadvantages for things. It'll be very interesting to layer in effectively what become events to keep things interesting. Other ways are going to be like leaderboard systems, which will come out. And so, there may be 10 leaderboards running at any one time, and one may be for starberries and, another one for moonberries. You're not necessarily going to be able to once you kind of do. And so you'll come back, see progression. It'll really be with the neighborhoods feature that I think we start to step up into stuff that the neighborhoods feature, as I've said before, becomes kind of this foundation for us to operate live events. So not just the ability to kind of build your neighborhood with your friends, but the opportunity to actually run live events where you may warp your tiles, your land NFTs, one of your land, say the Shadowcorn realm or something, and things. And there may be a very high risk and reward with doing that. And so you kind of make a choice of whether or not to opt into that live event. And then, of course, every single battle loop, as we, jousting, for example, there's only going to be a certain number of arenas to start. We will add more over time. Same with racetracks and stuff. So new arenas, new racetracks. With the Team RPG side, new PvP content, events around raid bosses and things, shadow roadmap and stuff. That's, I think, where we'll step out of the repetitive nature. And again, I want something slightly, and that will take a lot of time. I mean, I've said always, we're kind of releasing this MVP, getting it out there, getting the economy moving, and then it's just the next few years layering in depth and kind of fun. Like we're even things like hide and seek in the neighborhood stuff, right? I was always my favorite fucking Diablo. Me as a player was the loot goblin, right? And you find the loot goblin, you're grinding a dungeon. It's this mad dash to take it down and get that special event. So again, it comes down to like timed, somewhat random events that we plan to run, and I think that will take care of a lot of the repetitive nature. And then again, that cater to different play types. Some are very hyper casual, time and depth, and will require a lot of depth, and or have a lot of depth and require a lot of time. And again, I think that's how we keep things fun into the future. Did that answer your question?
Yes, actually, your answer was awesome. I'm looking forward to playing the game soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't wait to get it out there. And again, iterate, build it together as a community. I mean, that is the fun part. That is the part that's unique and different in this space. And yeah, we're excited to get there. Thank you.
Yeah. Ooh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chugs. Also, thank you so much to cute stickers that you give the Discord community. We super appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, see you. Next up, we have Sir AJ. Come on over, Sir AJ. Hi.
Hello. Hello.
Hey.
Wait, let me check my volume.
We can hear you good. Oh, yeah. All right, next up, let's have Dudot. Let's have Sir AJ come over later after Dudot. Hi. The tension. Okay, I think we're having mic issues with Dudot, so we're going to let him sort that out first and bring Sir AJ back to the stage.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so before anything else, I just want to say I love you guys and I love you, the God Aaron. So my question is, do we have something similar to like rewards for land only holders? Like somewhere similar to staking the unicorns way back for Unim or something like that? Do we have anything planned for land holders?
Honestly, that's the so first off, thank you for the kind words. Don't be too nice to me though. We got to keep ego down here. um, the rainbow token airdrop, the community airdrop, right? The 8.9 million of that is going based on NFT retention. 54% of that is to landholders. This is kind of the moment, and to me, the mechanism, to correctly reward people who have been sitting on land. We did want to try and get a mini game out that involved land, and the reality of timelines and everything else to do prevented that. Getting into the game and things, and we'll reveal some details probably in early April around this. There's going to be starter materials and things that do somewhat favor, people with land, and we also recognize a lot more people with land and no unicorns than people with unicorns and no land. Actually, there's I don't think a case that we've found where you have unicorns and don't have land. So again, we really tried with this community airdrop. And again, 54% of 8.9 million is going to landholders, and that actually does favor them over, the unicorn holders, because we recognize the forest getting and things of that nature. So it felt like the best way to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you
thank you.
so much. Thank you, Sir AJ. Really appreciate it. By the way, we only have 2 minutes left. Time passed by so quickly. We can only answer one more question, and it's Dudot. Hey, Dudot.
Oh man, the suspense. Maybe we try and get one more text-based one in.
Oh, we have another speaker. Is that
Okay.
okay? All right.
Yeah.
Hello, Pro Hempress. Come on over. Hello. You are not on mute. Hello. Oh, I think they're also having trouble with their mic. Before the AMA, guys, you should check our mics. We'll post reminders. Yeah, we do post reminders to check your microphones before the AMA. So please make sure to do that. Okay. Do we have one more speaker, or would you like a written question, Aaron? Oh, we have another one. Okay. We have Mr. RKO.
Guys, I love it. I'm hyped. How quick can we get the record of this? Because I missed the alphas early on.
Soon. Really quickly.
Okay, that was my question actually. Holy shit, I'm hyped and I'm confused as fuck. Ooh.
Yeah, I think after the AMA summary, I'm sure there'll be more questions. I'll be in and out of Discord today, and happy to. I'll be watching the Ask the Devs channel and stuff as people have questions. Because
Oh
we leaked
hell
a
yeah!
ton of alpha.
Let me hear you guys, man. This is so much alpha, so much fucking hype. Let's go. Woo!
I know. I'm pumped. I think right now the team
Me too.
really focused on getting this damn game out and excited about it, and yeah, pushing really really hard. So the more shout outs and hype in the Discord, it certainly acts as a real positive reinforcement for myself and the team. I mean, we can't thank you guys enough. We're here because of this collective group of people who all somehow love unicorns as much as we do, which is incredible. So, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm bouncing to our weekly team stand up and going to take a lot of this hype and action, make sure everybody's pumped up. So, looking forward to the next one. We'll continue running these every Thursday game launch. So, should be fun.
For sure, for sure. Way too hyped.
Cool.
See you guys later.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. RKO. Really appreciate your time. Okay, that wraps up our second weekly AMA. How do you feel about this AMA, Aaron?
Excited, pumped. I am so ready to get this damn game out the door, as I know the team is. So I'm going to jump on this stand up. We're going to keep crushing it. And yeah, I'll be on the lookout for questions and stuff that come off the summaries today. Thanks everyone for joining. Shout out as always to the phenomenal mod, incredible community management team that we have here. I take zero credit for any of that incredible stuff. And again, looking forward to the next one.
Looking forward to the next one. I really appreciate being able to listen to the Unicorn fam like this every week. And we're aware that you guys have a lot more questions. So if they weren't answered as AMA, please look forward to our third weekly AMA at the same time next week. We'll post a recording of this AMA in our socials if you would like to give it a re listen. Don't forget to share this with your friends and fellow Unicorn fam who couldn't make it. If you have more burning questions, feel free to reach out on our support channels, Mon Support, and Ask the Devs. So Aaron said that he'd be looking throughout the day on Ask the Devs, so that's the perfect time to ask your question. This has been Sparkly Unicorn with co-host Fluffy Unicorn.
Night, everyone.
Night and Tech Stealthy Unicorn. Good morning and good night, Unicorn fam. We'll do it. We'll do it.
Bye all.
Ooh. Bye.
Woo.
Thanks, everybody.